Hi, it's Bumble. Welcome back to my channel. If I sound a little sleepy at some point or whatever, I literally just woke up 15 minutes ago. I woke up at like 4 and I couldn't get back to bed and I was kind of frustrated. I was like, dang it, I'm fully awake, but it's like too early to like physically do anything in the house. And then I was awake for probably like 2 hours because I heard some annoying ass bird outside that wouldn't shut up. And then suddenly I'm just passed out and I look at the clock and it's 9. It's good timing though. My dad just left for a while so I don't have to worry about voice control. So Tangled. I haven't seen this in years. So this week with my friend group, I was able to pick whatever movie I wanted for the couple of days that we watched. So this is the last of those. So after that, it's just whatever we end up watching, I guess. Because I tried to buy this on DVD, because even with stuff on streaming, I like to have things on DVD. And then I ended up buying an empty case, because I was at a swap meet and I didn't check inside the case. I didn't think about it, so I didn't get the movie, and I was like, damn, I want to watch Tangled anyway. And I thought it would still be fun to watch with friends, so we ended up watching it. This when I was younger, because this came out in like 2010, so it was still pretty little. It's weird for me to think about, like when I was younger and I watched this and like watching this now, where this was my favorite of the Disney princess movies when I was little. I still remember going to see this in theaters and I absolutely adored it. But it's weird to think about where it's like this was the very first 3D one. And I had seen a couple of like the 2D ones, usually like in terms of like the princess movies, I'd seen some of the like Renaissance ones, like Beauty and the Beast. Actually, not really that many. I think it was just Beauty and the Beast. I'm trying to remember the ones I had on DVD when I was younger. Alice in Wonderland. So not like too many. I did see Princess and the Frog, Tangled, and like Frozen were like that like section of time where I was like finally watching like the Disney princess movies and stuff like as they were coming out, you know. I'm trying to remember which one was before Princess and the Frog. Like I can't even remember off the top of my head. That wasn't like a sequel, you know. I know there was a lot of those direct to DVD ones. Because I did eventually watch like the Disney Renaissance ones and stuff. Or you know, I've seen a lot of the 2D Disney movies at this point. But yeah, it's weird to think about. This was like the first 3D, and that was like new. Like I realized it from like looking at the poster and stuff, and I thought that was cool. You know, it's not like I had enough of a reference where the change was like whoa, which also makes it feel weird to talk about Princess and the Frog. Maybe I'll do that eventually. Of like that was the last like 2D Disney princess movie and stuff, or really just kind of like in general. And like I didn't even realize it when I was younger because that was like one of the first ones I had watched. It's weird to think about because like now they're all in like 3D. Now you're just kind of like used to it at this point, but I do miss the 2D ones. Like this one and Frozen, and I'm just going off like the top of my head right now, and then I'll get into my notes, which I really don't have much. Also, I'm kind of hungry right now, and I want to go eat breakfast. This one and Frozen, I feel like they have a really similar vibe. It's kind of funny when I think about it, where like I had seen both of these in theaters, and it's not that much of like an age gap between the movies or me at the time or anything, but it's like significant enough for me where it's like I was still sort of a bit like younger with I think it's like a 3 year gap. It's weird. I still consider myself like, oh, little kid, like when Tangled came out and I was just enjoying it and it was fun and whatever. And I still remember when Frozen came out, that was like the point where I was starting to like critically think more and be like a little more judgy towards movies. Like I remember sitting in the theater, it's like a very clear memory for me with Frozen, when like Let It Go's about to start and I was thinking about like, man, Anna and Elsa never did see each other at dinner or anything. The family just like never got together, I guess, or whatever. I don't know why it was that specific thought at that specific time, whatever. So I feel like I viewed those movies differently for like a long time. And I didn't really like Frozen, and that was literally just because it was freaking everywhere, and you know, you get kind of tired of something in your face all the time. And I was surprised the order I had rewatched both of these, Tangled and Frozen. I rewatched Frozen like last year, so sadly my review for that is on my old deleted channel. But it feels weird thinking about my reactions to like rewatching both after like so many years have passed. I've seen Tangled. This is like my third time seeing Tangled, both Frozen. I think it was like my second time. I promise this is like all sort of significant. And with Frozen, I was like, whoa, because I was like finally giving it a chance. Enough time had passed where, you know, I wasn't like annoyed by it anymore or anything, and I was like, whoa, this is actually so good, and I like really enjoyed it. Not like everything about it. I think the thing I was surprised about, and I'll like slightly contradict myself in this review with it, probably, is I thought I was gonna find Olaf really annoying. I don't remember if I found him annoying when I was younger. I think I just didn't have an opinion on him, or maybe I did find him annoying. No, I actually loved the little guy, and I think older me can say that because I have a soft spot for just goofy little comic relief characters and stuff. Not that he's like hilarious or anything, but I thought like, oh, he's just a neat little dude. Um, you know, and I really enjoyed it. And then it was weird for me watching Frozen, where I mean not Frozen, Tangled, yesterday, where I knew I already loved the movie. I think what it is for me, I'm realizing since I've been watching so many movies lately, and you'll hear me mention about it with one of the Wes Anderson movies. I think it like finally clicked for me that if I love a movie, and it's not like this with every movie I love, but if I love a movie and if I see it enough times where I can like clearly remember every single time, I start to not like it for whatever reason. Or not enjoy it as much, I should say. Yeah, I think it's maybe because like even if like years have passed, it's like I still very clearly remember the movie and like the scenes and stuff because of how much I had like attached myself to it. So then I think I just end up kind of bored. That's my theory, because like I watched Moonrise Kingdom and I felt the same way, and I felt almost disappointed in myself, and I didn't know how to describe it, where I thought, oh, maybe it's because I'm older and it's just like not as hitting as hard, or I have a different opinion now, or maybe because I enjoy it so much, or I thought it was something with me and not with the movie, and it is something with me. And I didn't know what it was, and it was bothering me. But I think with watching Tangled yesterday, I figured it out. It's that if I attached myself to a movie like instantly, and then if I watched it enough time, not like I was watching either of these a billion times or whatever. There's movies I love that I could watch like a billion freaking times, like Mamma Mia, for example, and I will never get tired of it, and I will enjoy it every single time. But I guess for some reason, Tangled and Moonrise Kingdom, I don't know, I felt like a little bored. Maybe it's because I hyped myself up so much with Tangled, of like, yeah, it's Tangled, I haven't seen this in so long, I love this movie. And now that I'm older, maybe that also has to do with it. I don't know. But it is a really good movie. Like, my friends and I were talking about it yesterday, where we were, a lot, apparently some of them don't like Frozen. And I didn't say anything because I remember I really, really enjoyed it the last time I watched it. But I also completely understand why. And I think we did all agree that, like, Tangled, we liked it better than Frozen. I think for me, it's that between just only off of my last viewings, I enjoyed Frozen more, but I think that's because I was viewing it as if, like, watching it for the first time kind of mentality, rather than, like, Tangled I've seen before. But I do think that Tangled's the better movie. I think from what I can remember, there's like multiple animals, you know, there's the horse, and there's the chameleon, yeah, Pascal and Maximus. I don't really like Maximus. I know he's supposed to be like the comic relief character, and he has this whole like cat and mouse thing with like Flynn Rider. I feel like those segment like they're important to the plot. They don't like completely stop the movie, but I kind of just like, hey, I want to go back to this stuff with Rapunzel. But there isn't too much of it. I don't know. I think what feels weird to me with Maximus is like, he doesn't talk or anything, which I think it's great. I mean, okay, I want to say I do like when animal characters talk. I'm just very picky about it, where it can be in like an endearing way and they're like fun characters. Like Donkey and Shrek, I love that he talks. I don't find him annoying. He's awesome. Like some animal characters I'm fine with it, but then with other ones where if it's like, I don't know, the goat from Wish or whatever that I can't even remember the name of, um then yeah, no, then it just becomes really annoying. There's like a very fine line for me between if it's like, oh, you're a fun talking character, you can like act, because usually they're talking animals in these kind of movies are like the comic relief. But if they're like actually funny, then it's like, it's great and I have a good time. And if they're like actually a developed character and not just there to be like a joke, it's cool. And, but they can also be really annoying. But I think with Maximus, what throws me off is that he has a lot of like the way he acts isn't like a silly animal. It's almost like a person in a way. I think what also is weird to me, but I also kind of get it, because he doesn't talk, but you can like figure out what he's thinking based off like the facial expressions. I mean, it's the same way for Pascal too. With Maximus, I feel like the expressions are like really exaggerated or whatever. I don't know. I feel like he didn't really need to be like, he is important. He's the one that like gets all the characters to save like Flynn at the end and stuff. And like Pascal is literally the one that gets like Mother Gothel killed, and Flynn fighting with Maximus is like the way he discovers the tower. So if you got rid of them, the story wouldn't be the same. But it's just like, I don't know. But yeah, Maximus I didn't really care about. And then Pascal, I forgot. I mean, other than stopping Gothel, maybe there was like other things, but I mean, I guess he's just kind of like Rapunzel's companion, and that's about it. I feel like I was expecting more of him, like character wise or anything, but he's like exactly the same throughout the whole movie. I feel like he's just kind of there. I don't know. Anyway, my point with bringing these two up is, I'm whatever about their characters, but what I do like, the two things, is like their shenanigans don't completely stop the plot. Like I complain about the stuff with Maximus or whatever, but like the story is like continuing and everything. Because sometimes I find it annoying when like the comic relief character, like in order to be able to tell jokes and stuff, stops the plot. And like I know this is why I said the whatever I said earlier, I mentioned about Olaf, and I know that happens with his jokes and stuff. I think with Olaf, part of the reason I like him, even though I expected to find him like really cringe or whatever, like his jokes themselves, I don't think I found funny. It's the ones where with Olaf, where he's like this silly little character, which is like a silly little guy. I liked that, where he grows closer with Anna over the journey. He feels like he's really the third companion, and it's not just like Kristoff and Anna. But I also liked with Olaf, a lot of the jokes around him, and I even like had noticed when I was younger and stuff, are actually like really dark. Like his main thing is about wanting to be in summer, and then he doesn't know he's going to die type of stuff, and that was funny. Like that's the kind of thing. Even if the jokes themselves, a lot of them aren't funny, if you have something weird like that, I'll usually like your like comic relief character, whatever. Damn, now I kind of want to rewatch Frozen, but I'm bummed because it's like I won't view it the same. I know that. And I know the group's not going to watch it either. Maybe eventually. I don't know. Maybe eventually I'll rewatch it. It's just kind of natural for me to compare the two, just because they have like a similar vibe. Okay, but my other thing I was going to say, my main point, was that Rapunzel and Flynn are like the main characters. It's really like both of them and their bond. And I like that. I like that like the horse and the chameleon don't get in the way of that or anything at all. It's just two people that are traveling around, and then they eventually become lovers, and that's the whole thing. I think that's part of the reason I also like this over Frozen, is like Frozen also has Elsa, where she's sort of in like the villain role, but like not the villain. Like she's the one they're trying to get to and whatever. But she's given all this screen time too, and is honestly kind of cooler than like the stuff going on with like Anna and Kristoff, that you almost want to see more of her. There's more of like a focus of her in like the sequel and everything. So it's like that's a third main character they got to spend the time, share the screen time with. So you're not like completely focusing on the stuff with Anna and Kristoff, even though I feel like it's kind of more natural there. I don't know. But no, it's with Tangled, it's just entirely about like Rapunzel and Flynn and stuff, and their relationship's nice. I really like the scene in the boat. I'll talk about that later. Okay, I'm gonna finally go over my notes now. There was a lot of things about the plot that I had forgotten about, so it's good that I rewatched this. Like I remembered Gothel was like super old, and she, there's that magic flower that she ends up like singing to, and then she eventually like kidnaps Rapunzel, but I didn't like connect the dots with that. Like I knew she needed Rapunzel for her hair, but I also thought she was just kidnapping Rapunzel out of spite or whatever, which like I guess sort of, I don't know. But it was that, yeah, the flower gets taken away to use for the queen. That's why I thought it was out of spite of like, oh, they took the flower away so she kidnapped their daughter. But no, and then I guess like all the magic of it, because I was like, there really just isn't another flower or something, but like all the magic of it gets absorbed like only into Rapunzel. And I mean, Gothel at least tries cutting Rapunzel's hair off first, and then seeing it turns brown and there's like no magic, and then she kidnaps the kid. Like if it stayed gold, and if she could have just kept it, then maybe she would have been satisfied. Because she ends up, like, raising a whole kid for, like, 18 years just for the hair. I mean, I get it. She gets to remain useful forever, and she's, like, super vain. But, that's also a lot of work. And plus having to, like, gaslight her the whole time and everything, and prevent her from leaving and stuff. Like, she just has to, like, dedicate herself to that, and that's about it. But I guess if you've lived for like a bajillion years, you got the time for it. You've already done all the things you want to do. You can dedicate yourself to like being a parent. But yeah, I forgot. It was just that like she needed the hair so bad, you just ruin a family forever and have to raise a child. It's like, damn. So I've had this song, When Will My Life Begin, stuck in my head for like an entire week. It's kind of funny. I ended up waiting like longer to watch this movie than I expected. I thought it was going to be one of the first ones we watched, in terms of me picking, but then it ended up being the last one we watched on like a Sunday, and it ended up being put off even a little more because I wanted to watch Frankenstein, the Guillermo del Toro one, the day it came out, so I also kind of got in the way. But as soon as I decided to like watch Tangled and stuff, the song was just in my head and it didn't leave. I actually love the music in this. Okay, that's another thing I have to give it a point over Frozen for. There's like some songs in Frozen I find kind of annoying and stuff. I love all the songs in this movie, and I think the scenes for them are super fun. But yeah, When Will My Life Begin is my favorite. Like it's a fun song where she's just literally singing about her hobbies, but you also get to see them all on screen. I like that they're all like art related in some way. Like I remember there's like there's obviously painting, but there's also like ceramics and paper mache and all this other stuff that I think is really cool. And I like the art style for her murals as well. I think they're pretty fun. What I find kind of crazy is she has like a bajillion art hobbies, and I'm like, how is she paying for all of these? Because I can tell you from someone that even tried and like failed to branch out into other stuff besides painting, trying to get materials for stuff is expensive for art stuff. And then if you're starting a new hobby and then you if you don't like it, then it's like, okay, you just have all these materials now, good luck, you wasted all this money or whatever. So like the fact that she has so many and she ended up being like sort of good at all of them, or maybe she's not, it seemed like she was, which is like crazy. But I mean, I get it, she has like 18 years where she's probably just alone most of the time. Like what else is she going to do? She can't go outside. But I'm also surprised the fact that she gets so good off of them. from just, there's no one around to teach her anything. But I'm like, is Gothel really spending all this money buying her all of these, like, supplies or whatever? I mean, maybe she's rich because she's, like, lived for so long, but that's, like, one of the kind of thoughts I'd have only as someone that's, like, older now watching this compared to, like, when I was little. I didn't think about it, and I thought, wow, this song is so fun and whatever. What I was bummed about, though, is, like, I was so excited for the song. It's literally, like, the first one or something. And then my friends were talking over it, and I wanted so bad to just tell them, like, hey, shut up, I want to hear the song or whatever. And I probably could have, but, like, I didn't want to be rude. And then after the song, I remembered I can ask, like, oh, okay, can you guys turn up the volume a bit? Turns out the volume was already at max, but still, I was a little bummed, because it's like, this is the one thing I wanted from Tangled today, and then they talked over the freaking song. I think Zachary Levi's the one that voices Flynn Rider. I forgot about that. Like, I recognized, like, Flynn's voice. I remembered how all the characters sounded, but I forgot he voices Flynn, or at least I think he does. Because, like, this is the role that I knew him for, and then it was weird for me seeing him in Shazam, and I'm like, wait, I recognize that voice. Because I know there's a bunch of other stuff he's in, like Harold and the Purple Crayon. Like, I don't usually care for, like, his roles or anything. I don't know, they're just whatever. But I do like him voicing this character. I think it's fun because Flynn's, like, kind of a snarky character, but is actually, like, really nice. Especially when we get to, like, the duet song on the boat later. I'm assuming that's, like, him singing. He actually sings pretty nice. What else? Something that was also, I was thinking about is, like, why didn't Gothel lie to Rapunzel about when her birthday was? Because that's the whole thing, is, like, not just the fact that it's, like, her birthday every year and she wants to go outside. It's specifically about seeing the lights, and Rapunzel's just like, for the last 18 years, Gothel, there's been these lights that show up, like, on my birthday. Like, of course she doesn't know about the missing princess thing, and she wants to just go see them anyway, but she's like, this is kind of, like, sus, and that's, like, the thing that makes her want to see them. Rather than, like, it's all about seeing the lights rather than, like, hey, I want to go outside and, like, touch grass and stuff. Like, that is too bad that, like, Rapunzel couldn't even, like, there's a big area of space around the tower and even, like, water. It's too bad she couldn't even just hang out in that area, and that could be her outside. But I get it, like, someone could hear her and whatever. The tower had to stay completely hidden. I'm surprised, like, no one noticed, like, Gothel coming out of that, like, passageway or whatever. Like, I'm surprised no one stumbled on it sooner. It's literally just covered, like, a little bit by leaves. But yeah, if she lied about the birthday thing, then Rapunzel, would probably still want to see the lights anyway, because it's like, ooh, the pretty floating lights or whatever. I forgot how gentle and, cheery the song, like, Mother Knows Best is, because it's interesting where it's, like, the villain song, but it doesn't feel like, the dramatic Disney villain song and whatever. But I like that, and that's kind of the point, because I like the concept with Gothel where she's bad news immediately. It's just she gets to remain the villain because Rapunzel doesn't know, so it works. Like, the whole song is about, like, gaslighting and having Rapunzel continue to trust Gothel, but it's not in, like, a trust in me from, like, the Jungle Book sort of way where it's supposed to be, like, hypnotic and whatever. It's more of, like, it's about belittling Rapunzel and stuff. Like, Gothel's constantly insulting her in the song, but then also still says, like, how much she loves her and everything. That's why it's like I know there's a lot of movies that are about like Encanto and Turning Red. What is the joke that people always make? The joke the villain is generational trauma or something or whatever. Which I'm not gonna talk about those right now. Though I am getting a little bit tired of it. I want, like, actual villains again. But with this movie, I think it, like, works so well. Because, like, like, Gothel's bad even when, like, you're younger watching this, but it, like, fully, like, clicked for me this time now that I'm older of, like, if I was Rapunzel, I'd probably fall for this too, of, like, this is the only other person you have. And it's, like, realistic to how relationships, like, can be for people and stuff, where it's like this is the only person you know and you have to depend on them, and they're telling you like how dangerous the world is outside, you have to stay here and stuff. And like she's being so mean to Rapunzel, but it's like, you know, I guess Rapunzel's probably like used to it and stuff. And the visuals are also cool of like the song. I like that it like completely takes place in the dark except for where the two characters are, to like make it seem more spooky. Like that's the thing, like the lyrics are mean, mostly, or like the parts that are like insulting Rapunzel, and like it takes place in the dark, but the song sounds so like happy, even though, you know, it's like technically a villain song and stuff. I think that's cool. It's also just a fun song in general. Like I was always whatever about it, but now I'm like, oh, it's actually pretty good. um I think the one thing about, you know, how I said I wasn't as happy watching it this time, I didn't really find this one like that funny as like it's trying to be, and I felt like a little bummed. But there are some stuff I did laugh at, like Rapunzel struggling to hide Flynn in the closet when she first runs into him. And it's like realistic too, because she's like very petite and she's having to shove like a fully grown man inside of this like tiny space. You know, that's going to be hard for her to drag him around. But it's funny. Their investigation scene where he's like trying to flirt with her, I thought that was going to be cringe. I thought it was cringe when I was younger, but I actually found it like kind of funny, because she's like immune to it, or she's just like, what the heck is this guy doing? Rapunzel, you know, I know it's like a trend with not just like the princesses, but like, you know, like Mirabelle and Rapunzel and Anna being like these very super bubbly like main characters, and eventually that kind of does get annoying too. I feel like for Rapunzel and Anna, though, it makes sense of the whole like, oh, we're isolated for like most of our entire life or whatever, so you're gonna be awkward. Though it's funny to me with Anna, I'm just like, why doesn't she go outside? Like with Rapunzel, I get it, she's like literally in this tower, and I know she eventually does like use her hair and leave, like she has the only way like to leave, but then I was thinking about like, how do you get back in, because she doesn't know about like the secret passageway that Gothel has, and the height is all the way up there. Like you do see later on she can toss her hair pretty far, but it's usually like, I noticed, like tossing it from a distance rather than tossing it like straight up and whatever. And even if she does sort of have the strength to toss it just like directly up, you know, you'd have to make sure it would like hook on and everything. So like there's that too. It besides like her whole fear of like, you know, not being able to go outside, or like more of like listening to her mother rather than like the fear thing. With Anna, it bothers me of like, you can go outside, you're not the one that's like trapped in here, you're like keeping yourself here, if anything. But anyway, with those two, I feel like it makes sense with like the bubbly personalities thing, and or more of like socially awkward, I guess. Like with Anna, it kind of annoys me a little bit, but with Rapunzel, of like the bubbliness and stuff and being like super cheerful. With Rapunzel, I like it. I don't know, it comes off as like cute to me. She's so excited about everything, and it's like genuine because she doesn't know where everything, what like anything is and stuff. But I think it's fun. I think Mandy Moore is the one that voices her. I mostly know her for like music things, but I love her performance as Rapunzel. Especially there's that, I really like that whole sequence where it's that little not really, I guess, sort of montage of like Rapunzel feeling terrible for leaving the tower, but also feeling really happy about it. And I like that it cuts to like different locations and Flynn's just like miserable the whole time. Like her feelings are completely justified and everything, of like feeling bad for like she's probably hurt her mom's feelings, but also being like, I never want to leave, because like now she's outside, you know, she wants to go explore the world and everything. But that part's cool. It's kind of funny actually. Okay, so I've never really played Kingdom Hearts as a side note, but like as we were watching, or like no, once we got to the end, towards the end of the movie, we had to stop because like somebody had to like take a break for a bit, and my friend was showing us, one of the people was showing us like the Kingdom Hearts cutscenes, because apparently with that game for Tangled and Frozen, for some reason it's literally like a shot for shot remake. You're basically like watching the movie in terms of cutscenes, but it's so funny like watching the cutscene for that particular scene. Like it's shot the exact same way and everything. It's just the dialogue like comes off as awkward and there's no music or anything. But it's funny because it's like the same shots, but then it has just like the Kingdom Hearts characters are just there. They kept laughing over this. There's this shot during that part where Rapunzel's like feeling terrified or whatever, where she's in like a cave, and then in the Kingdom Hearts one, you know, like, so not the movie, Goofy is just kind of there in the background, but it looked kind of creepy. But that part's fun. And then I like when Rapunzel gets out of the tower, she like fully finishes the song, When Will My Life Begin? I actually completely forgot about it because it felt like she was already done with the song. But then she really hits those last notes and stuff, and it's cool. And you're like, yeah, her life really does get to begin now. It's like the same thing as like Ariel in The Little Mermaid singing like Part of Your World. And I think she like goes to rescue Eric or something, and then she has that like iconic scene on the rock where she like fully finishes the song and everything. I forget what that's like called in like musicals and stuff, because I know it's a reprise when you like you sing the song later, but it's like usually more of the song, and sometimes it can be in like a different tone and whatever. But here it just feels like, yeah, we're just gonna bring it back for a bit. You know, I know Gothel only wants Rapunzel for her hair and stuff, but it's still a little hard watching the scene where she's like desperately trying to find Rapunzel in the tower, because it's like taking away all the stuff she's doing to Rapunzel, it is just like a parent trying to find their child that like suddenly ran away, and you're like, damn, what if they get hurt out there or whatever. Like, if you view it more in the general way of that, it is a bit scary. She does sound so desperate trying to find Rapunzel and everything. Then we get to this song at the bar. What is it called? Like the Ugly Duckling or something. I don't remember in the song If I Have a Dream. I remember I found it kind of annoying when I was younger because it was catchy. I'm fine with it now. I like the idea of like these scary dudes having all these nice hobby dreams, but they're also singing it, but it's like funny of like they're also singing about how like violent and gross they are and whatever. Oh, and then there was the meme of Flynn at knife point that's been going around, and my friends like paused at that point, and we were all like, what are things we'd say that would get us in this predicament or whatever. So we chatted for a bit. The escape scene in the canyon was really cool, especially like when the dam floods, like they barely escape with their lives and everything. And then the part where they're escaping out of the water and Rapunzel's hair is like slowly starting to glow. Honestly, any part when Rapunzel's hair glows, because it just glows so brightly and everything. It's always just really cool. I forgot that Gothel actually does try to find Rapunzel, or actually does find her and then lets her go because she's gonna like do some stuff later, you know, involving like Flynn and everything. But like she gives Rapunzel the crown back, but I like how she tells Rapunzel like, yeah, Flynn doesn't really want to be around you. So then it's less of like Gothel stopping Rapunzel from giving it back and more of like getting Rapunzel to stop herself, like the whole being a manipulative bitch thing. That was cool. Oh, other thing about Frozen I forgot about, of like, that's the one where it started introducing like the twist villain thing. I like how here Gothel isn't a twist villain. Like I already mentioned, she's like a twist villain in the sense to like Rapunzel, but not to the audience and stuff. You know immediately, like, you know, we see Gothel like kidnapping Rapunzel and everything, but also even like her villain song and stuff. Oh wow, okay, I guess I really don't have that many more notes. I like the part when they finally get to like the town square and Rapunzel's hair gets braided by those like four little girls, with all the flowers and stuff. I think that was like a really pretty look. And then the duet for the Seeing the Lights song. I think it's just called At Last I've Seen the Lights or something like that. That's always been my favorite part of the movie. So that was really cool. The lights for that are like pretty, but also the lighting of like it's nighttime. They're in this boat, and it's about like she's finally achieved her dream and everything, but also is like a romantic duet song basically. And their singing is like so soft in that scene, and the instruments kind of give it this like Christmassy feel to me, like something I'd hear in like the Polar Express. I just think it's a really sweet song and scene overall. And then I forgot about how they got separated. Like I remembered Flynn eventually being in jail, but it's that Rapunzel's supposed to think like she's tricked into think he's like betrayed her, but it's actually that he ends up getting like kidnapped and stuff. And I do like that Rapunzel actually does lose in the sense of like she goes back to the tower. I mean, it's willingly, but like she's like tricked into it and thinking like, oh, Flynn's gone. I guess I gotta like give up my quest. And she tells her mom like, oh, you were right. The world was like dangerous or whatever. So she actually does go back, and she would have lost and everything, except she realizes she's the lost princess. That scene's always kind of funny to me because the way Rapunzel figures it out is like her paintings having those like suns. And the funny thing is the sun thing isn't even exactly like the picture of the sun in that's used all over the castle and everything. I didn't even really notice it, but like for her it ends up suddenly being super obvious like once she sees the symbol again. And it's funny because like the thing that's supposed to clue her in is like remembering seeing it as a baby, which I get that you'd like maybe remember a song from when you were really little like subconsciously. It's just funny to me that like that's the thing that gets her to realize it, rather than seeing the image of herself in town of like a baby that looks exactly like her. I get it, there's probably other blonde babies and whatever, but it's like the fact that it's a baby with really really long hair and everything too and stuff. I feel like that should have been the thing of like, whoa, hey, that baby looks like me. But I do like it takes her multiple signs and, of like the sun thing. And I guess when she put the crown on herself in the beginning, I mean, I know the crown fits perfectly, but I mean, it could fit like any 18-year-old girl probably. But I like that once Rapunzel figures it out and she goes to confront Gothel, and Rapunzel's like, yeah, I am the lost princess, huh? And Gothel has this, like, oh shit look. I don't know if it's like she knew this day would finally come. Or, I mean, probably not, because her whole thing was like, okay, as long as Rapunzel doesn't leave the tower at all, she wouldn't know. I mean, even if Rapunzel went outside, like, she needed a guide to be able to get to the lights in the first place. Like, if she didn't find Flynn, she probably would have just gotten lost in, like, the forest or something. Or maybe she would eventually made her way. So I guess it's eventually of like, it's I guess like she shouldn't have been that worried about letting Rapunzel outside, but more of just like, hey, as long as she doesn't actually get to the kingdom. But I get it. I mean, if somebody saw her wandering around and it was someone from the kingdom or whatever, or like the guards or something, they probably would have recognized her. But yeah, and then she goes to trying to gaslight Rapunzel again and being like, yeah, no, what the heck are you talking about? This is silly. And then Rapunzel, I like that she's immediately, even though she's probably heard of like, oh, this person was my mother and she's like actually my kidnapper and stuff, but she's immediately just like, yeah, I'm never gonna like trust you again and whatever, and is like continuously trying to fight her. Like she doesn't fall for any of Gothel's bullshit again. The people from the bar saving Flynn was a pretty good scene as well. And Flynn climbing Rapunzel's hair, and then the reveal of like Rapunzel being kidnapped. Like you think like you see her hair come down and you're like, yeah, it's Rapunzel's there and everything's fine. Maybe she like beat Gothel or something. But no, Rapunzel's kidnapped and everything. Then Gothel stabs him. And I forgot the whole thing of like Rapunzel agreeing to be Gothel's prisoner and in exchange for being allowed to save Flynn. That scene always kind of scared me when I was younger, of just the image of like Gothel grabbing Rapunzel and trying to drag her down into, I originally thought it was like a basement or something, and I thought, damn, you're probably just gonna keep her down there forever, especially because she says that thing of like, I'm gonna take you somewhere where no one will ever find you, and that just seems so real, of like being like kidnapped and taken away somewhere. like Rapunzel's sort of lucky it was like a tower that was like so spacious and not like who fucking knows where. How she could have even been like raised in a cave and like wouldn't have even like thought anything of it or whatever. Like she was given like a pretty nice life. I mean, I'm not saying like her life was awesome, she should have stayed. No, she absolutely needed to leave. But I think I realized it was the same door that Gothel went through from the beginning, so it was actually going down through the passageway and they were going to leave the tower and go like somewhere else. But yeah, it's good that like Flynn cuts off Rapunzel's hair to like screw over Gothel and save Rapunzel, even though he knows he's gonna like die and everything. Especially because like they didn't get to kiss earlier. They had like the almost kiss. They had the romantic duet, but this is like the action of like he really does love her and everything. I forgot that Gothel dies from old age. Like I thought it was just like, yeah, she fell off the tower and they showed the empty like cape or whatever hitting the ground, because they're not going to show her body like hit the ground and every bone in her breaks immediately. But I realized this time like she literally dies as she's falling, and that's why the cape's ending, because she's just rapidly aging so much, which is crazy. Like I've heard her dress is supposed to be from like the medieval times or whatever, so it's like supposed to show like she really is old. Like she does dress like Gothel like completely differently from everyone else. I'm surprised she doesn't try to like adapt more with the times, because she's supposed to come off as like a younger woman and everything, but she is very set in her ways and everything too. And then it's a cool moment when like Rapunzel cries that like one tear, and then the flower like brings Flynn back to life, and you see the image of it like bloom from his stomach and everything. And she had no idea that was gonna happen. She just, you know, got lucky with that. She really did think he was like dead and everything. I just think it's interesting too of like her hair. I get the glowing and reversing, like making people younger thing, which I guess is technically a form of healing, but the fact that her hair's already so long, you know, because if she cuts it, it like stops having its powers, so you kind of don't have a choice except to grow it ridiculously long. And it being long and you being able to use it for all these things. Like, she basically uses it as, like, a rope the whole movie. And that's, I realize, the thing that, like, gets them out of most situations. Like, that's already pretty cool. Like, it's useful for that and, like, the whole canyon escape scene. And the fact that it, like, glows or whatever. But the real OP thing is, like, the fact that it has, like, healing powers and stuff. Which I didn't connect when I was younger about, like, that is technically the form of like reversing aging and stuff, and like singing the song and whatever. The glowing is just like part of it, and how it relates to the whole, I guess, like it glows bright as the sun and the kingdom's related to suns. Like, I know I'm almost just like, that seems like so weird to me, but I know there's like the TV show that probably explains all this or whatever, which I do think that's pretty cool. Of like they made an animated show of like what happens after the plot of the movie. I think it's like a couple seasons. I don't know if I'll ever watch it. Maybe. I think I've seen like one episode of it and I was like, I don't know. It's weird to me Rapunzel's parents have no dialogue. Like, it like fits with the story, because like you briefly see them at the beginning, and then I actually do like that when they finally reunite with Rapunzel, there's not any words. They just recognize each other, and then they go in for that hug. I think if they talked, it would have kind of ruined the moment a little bit. But it does just feel weird. They have, like, no dialogue whatsoever. It almost reminds me of those scenes in, like, Pokemon or something, where it's, like, the characters' mouths are obviously moving. Or it's a scene where, like, somebody should vocally be saying something, but it's just, like, completely silent, so it comes off as awkward. I feel like the hug scene almost could have come off as that, but thankfully it does. It just still feels kind of weird to me. You never hear them say anything throughout the whole movie. They're just kind of there. The ending's sweet. It does feel a little rushed in the sense of like suddenly it's like, okay, everyone got their happy ending, you know, which I mean it should end that way and everything, but it just feels like it goes through it very fast. I'm surprised you don't even ever actually see Rapunzel and Eugene getting married, though I do like that they don't get married immediately because he says the thing of like after many many years of asking, like it's him speaking from the future, but the visuals you're seeing on screen are like from the present. So it's like eventually they do get married, and that's probably good too, because like yeah, they grew close from like traveling and stuff, but they still also barely know each other, and she's like barely 18 anyway. Like I can imagine Rapunzel, like she's finally reunited with her family, probably has to get to like princess dutying and whatever, but it's also like she's finally outside and can begin her life. I can imagine like wanting to do that stuff before even beginning to think of like getting married or whatever. So I actually thought that was pretty cool. I feel like more movies could be like that, where like you know they have romantic feelings, but it's like eventually later they like finally get married. They could just like hang out and like go on dates and stuff. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Tangled. Pretty good. Didn't like, I absolutely adored this like the last two times I watched it, but I was also like pretty little. Like I remember when I was in Scouts and they put this movie on in a projector or something, and I was sitting in front of I was like glued to that projector watching this movie, and everyone else was like doing whatever, and I was just so excited to see it again. So it's definitely been, oh gosh, that was like in elementary school. Yeah, now I'm out of college, so it's definitely been some time since I've seen this, but still a good movie. Yeah, I still think it's the better movie over Frozen. I don't know if I'll ever rewatch that again or whatever, but I think that like at least Frozen 1 and like Tangled are pretty like neck to neck sort of anyway, in a sense. They're like very like similar, even though they have like opposite aesthetics. Like Tangled is so bright too. I really love the lighting in it and everything. But also like the sun magic and whatever, and everything just feels so warm. I think that's part of the reason I like it as well. And then with Frozen, because it's like ice stuff, everything's just sort of blue and like cold visually and everything, so it has like a very different like vibe. Yeah, Frozen 2, I didn't really like that one. I felt it was kind of weird, but the first movie I really liked. But yeah, I know I talked so much about that one. It's like, Bumble, this is a Tangled review, but it's just they're so similar, and they came out like so close to each other. The funny thing is, if the movies came out in like the reverse order or something, like I know Frozen's the one that was the cash cow and Tangled was just kind of whatever. If they came out in the reverse order and Frozen was the one I watched when I was younger first, I probably would have different feelings. I probably would have adored both as a child, because I would have liked Tangled anyway, and it's really fun. Frozen, I feel like, is more kind of directed towards like kids. I think just because of like Olaf, or there's just something about it that comes off as like kid friendly to me. But I would have been young enough where I still would have enjoyed it, and then it would have exploded in popularity, but I wouldn't have cared. I would have been into it. So it's just funny with the order that they came out, led to me having different feelings of one movie over another and everything. But yeah, they're both good. I don't know what other Disney princess movies I'll watch, because like I watched Frozen last year, so I think I'm good on Frozen. I kind of want to watch The Princess and the Frog again since I brought it up. That always feels bittersweet to watch though, because it's like it's the last 2D movie and everything, or at least in terms of the princess ones. I don't know in general. Yeah, I did buy Pinocchio actually. I bought it like a couple days ago in terms of recording. I might go watch that actually. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna go eat some breakfast. Bye bye.